The news broke in silence. NASA suddenly reported that it is laying off 15,000 employees. That was a massive number. Engineers, astronomers, entire departments gone overnight. They were told that the agency was shifting toward automation-driven efficiency. But what does that even mean when the heart of exploration has always been human? The layoffs would have been enough to shake the scientific community, but what made it stranger was the timing, because just as those pink slips were sent out, something from deep space was arriving, an object the agency called 3I Atlas, drifting in at the exact same moment everything went dark. Then came the blackout. NASA's servers started going offline, quietly, one by one. Researchers logging in found the same message: access denied. Mission data vanished, communication lines rerouted through automated systems. Officials said it was restructuring, but inside NASA, the silence felt deliberate. At JPL, scientists couldn't access telemetry data. In Houston, Mars imaging archives disappeared. Even the Voyager feeds, signals from the edge of the solar system, went dark. And that's when 3I Atlas appeared in the sky, a cold visitor from interstellar space, sliding past Earth just as NASA's own voice began to fade. Too quiet, too perfect, too timed to be coincidence. NASA's official website begins timing out. Public data feeds from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter and Perseverance rover show no updates after October 1st. The same day, layoff notices go out. Employees report entire servers being shut down without notice. Mission dashboards that normally update in real time freeze midstream. A handful of researchers managed to download fragments of telemetry before the blackout spreads, but the files are corrupted or incomplete. Even the Deep Space Network, NASA's global system for communicating with interplanetary probes, shows a sudden drop in outgoing transmissions. And while all this happens, 3I Atlas is approaching its closest pass to Mars. Astronomers expecting a glowing tail see something else entirely. 3I Atlas emits no traditional coma, no vapor plume, no dust trail. Instead, it displays a thin, inverted beam of reflected light pointing toward the sun rather than away from it, what scientists describe as an anti-tail. In spectral analysis, the object doesn't behave like rock or ice. Its reflectivity suggests an alloy or complex mineral composition. Some even speculate it could be metallic, possibly artificial. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb calls it a statistical impossibility for something this dense to have formed naturally in interstellar space. But without NASA's analysis, his statement vanishes into the noise of online debate. The last confirmed images from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter show a greenish hue, visible even in filtered light, a glow that intensifies under solar radiation rather than fading from it. Something about 3I Atlas doesn't obey the rules of ordinary comets. On paper, it's described as cost optimization. 83% of NASA's workforce gone overnight. From a staff of 18,000, only 3,000 remain, mostly those assigned to the Artemis moon missions. The logic makes little sense. Teams studying lunar logistics are retained. Teams monitoring interstellar data are dismissed. If this were only about money, the numbers don't align. NASA's ongoing lunar program costs $93 billion. Meanwhile, the shutdown itself is estimated to cost taxpayers nearly $2 billion per week in lost productivity. So, why cripple the very department that could explain what 3I Atlas is? Astronomers notice something stranger. 3I Atlas's trajectory lines up within 5 degrees of the ecliptic plane, the same thin slice of space where all planets orbit the Sun. The odds of an interstellar object aligning that precisely? They're less than 1 in 1,000, and its direction within 9 degrees of the position from which the famous 1977 WOW signal was detected, an unexplained radio burst that some believe to be extraterrestrial in origin. Coincidence? Maybe. But as NASA's workforce vanishes, the data connecting these points is now beyond reach. With NASA offline, the world's attention turns elsewhere. The European Space Agency's ExoMars orbiter captures brief images of 3I Atlas, showing a hazy, spherical glow over 600 miles wide. far larger than expected. The UAE's Hope probe and China's Tianwen-1 continue to observe uninterrupted, sending streams of data back home. For the first time in history, the most advanced observations of an interstellar visitor aren't being made by the United States. They're coming from nations unaffected by a shutdown. And as those images circulate quietly through encrypted channels, NASA's servers remain dark. September 25th, a coronal mass ejection from the Sun hits 3I Atlas directly. The blast should have disrupted its surface, breaking off fragments or creating a tail of vaporized ice. But nothing changes. Instead, sensors detect a faint electromagnetic pulse radiating from the object, a signal that repeats every 11 minutes and 42 seconds before fading into static. When analyzed by independent observatories, the pulse appears rhythmic, not random. NASA offers no comment, and without staff, there's no one left to verify the data. 3 days after the layoff, a confidential document surfaces on a defunct NASA repository, Oumuamua 3I Comparative Resonance. It outlines similarities between 3I Atlas and the first interstellar visitor, 1I Oumuamua. Both objects, according to the file, exhibit non-gravitational acceleration, a subtle push inconsistent with natural outgassing. The file also references energy pattern continuity and AI-driven anomaly mapping, suggesting that new automated systems were being used to monitor 3I Atlas before the human teams were disbanded. Whether the leak is authentic remains unknown, but if it is, it implies that 3I Atlas was under close watch right until the agency fell silent. 2 months before the layoffs, NASA quietly filed a patent under the name Project Helios. Officially, it's an initiative to automate celestial observation through artificial intelligence, but no public documentation exists about its scope. Employees later confirm that Helios was being trained on anomaly detection, identifying patterns human astronomers might miss. Some speculate that the project was preparing to take over full analytical control of incoming deep space data. When the layoffs occurred, Helios remained online. It was the only NASA system still transmitting intermittently. So, when the people left, the machines stayed. Before access was revoked, a few researchers downloaded raw imaging data from the Perseverance rover. Buried in those files is a sequence showing a faint streak across the Martian sky, visible over 9 consecutive frames. The object moves opposite to the background stars, matching 3I Atlas's projected path. But the images are low resolution, unprocessed, and incomplete. The metadata confirms they were captured on October 2nd, 2025, just 1 day after the layoffs began. Those frames are the last clear record of the object before NASA's data feed stopped. In Beijing, Tianwen-1's team announces they're tracking anonymous light dispersion around 3I Atlas. In Dubai, the UAE's Hope probe releases its own infrared observations, describing a layered thermal structure inconsistent with ordinary comets. Neither government elaborates. For Western scientists, the situation is frustrating. NASA's silence leaves an information vacuum, and without the agency's databases, independent astronomers can't cross-verify. For the first time since the space age began, the United States is not leading humanity's investigation of the unknown. When official systems fail, others step in. Across the globe, amateur astronomers form an informal network to collect data on 3I Atlas. Using backyard telescopes, open-source software, and public sky maps, they track the object's movement frame by frame. They're the ones who notice subtle flickering, light variations too regular to be random. Some think it's rotation, others think it's transmission. Whatever it's called, it's consistent. Unofficially, this community dubs it the Atlas Pulse, and while the world debates online, the object continues moving, indifferent, unstoppable, silent. By late October, 3I Atlas slingshots around the Sun and begins drifting back toward the void. At its closest point, it travels faster than any natural comet on record, over 150,000 miles per hour. The heat should have fractured it. Instead, it remains intact. If it's truly natural, it's rewriting the physics of cometary motion. If it's not, then we've just witnessed a visitor engineered to survive what no natural body could. But the moment passes. With NASA silent, no one can follow up. The object recedes into darkness, taking its secrets with it. Weeks after the layoffs, congressional committees demand explanations. NASA administrators cite budgetary impasse. Economists point out that no such budgetary freeze had been announced. It's the same story, but no details, no answers. Inside sources whisper that hundreds of those fired employees have been reassigned to private contractors under sealed agreements. Some disappear into facilities with no public address, rumored to be extensions of classified programs once housed at the agency. Officially, nothing exists. Unofficially, Project Helios continues to operate. 3i Atlas is now billions of miles away, heading back into interstellar space. Whatever it was, metallic, artificial, or just extraordinary, it's gone. The opportunity to study it passed in silence, drowned by bureaucracy and politics. Had the data continued flowing, humanity might have learned what lies beyond our solar system, what materials form in alien stars, what mysteries drift between them. Instead, we turned off our instruments. We looked away. The universe doesn't wait for government decisions. It doesn't pause for budget approvals. It moves endlessly. And sometimes it sends a visitor. We just weren't ready to meet this one. Weeks later, an archived NASA system briefly flickers back online. A single encrypted log appears with the title HEL-03I, transmission confirmed. Within minutes, it's gone. No one ever confirms what it meant. Maybe it was nothing more than a software glitch, or maybe it was the last automated message from a system we no longer control. Because while 3i Atlas drifts further from the sun, the silence it left behind still lingers. And whether that silence was coincidence or something else entirely remains the question that no one at NASA is left to answer. Maybe it's just all coincidence, the layoffs, the blackout, and 3i Atlas flying by at the same time. Or maybe NASA knows something we don't. Either way, the silence says more than words ever could, because while we're left guessing, something out there is still watching. What do you think NASA's hiding? Drop your theories in the comments, hit that like button if you're still questioning everything, and subscribe because this story isn't over yet.